Hey, this is Eddie Olchek. You're listening to Empty Betters with Nick, Mac, and Harrison.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 94 of Empty Betters. I'm your host, Harrison Scholes, and I'm going to toss it across the screen to my co-host, Nick Manella. How are we doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. What's going on?
Same old, long week, Tuesday night, happy hour. We're getting after it. Can't ask for much more than this.
Yeah.
This is what get me through the week. So good to see you guys.
Yeah,
Excited
long
for this
week,
one.
long weekend, really long field goal,
Yes, very long field goal. We'll get to that in a second. And then I'm going to toss it across the screen to my other co-host, Mac Vogel. How are we doing, buddy?
Doing well, living life. It's actually kind of nice outside today. It's like 75 degrees, which is rare because it's like fully fall here now, which I think I mentioned last time. But I busted out the fall drink, which no is not a pumpkin spice latte. It is a whiskey ginger ale.
Nice.
It's always a go-to.
Are you guys like a fan of like the pumpkin beers at all?
I like them.
I tried one last night that my buddy brought, and I was like kind of not into it. I don't know. I think it's just like a bit much. I'm not like a fancy tasting kind of beer guy. Like I don't love all the like fruity beers and stuff like that usually.
I like, the one that Sam Adams came out with last year, the Jacko one. I think that one's good. There's a couple other breweries that make good ones. Dogfish's is okay. Shipyard doesn't have a bad one, but some of them are really disgusting.
What I find with those real dark beers is they're fine for like, when Thanksgiving dinner's like winding down, the night football game's on and everybody's like half asleep on the couch. That's a good spot for it. I don't like having more than one of them. And I'm not a big fruity beer guy either. I mean, for those who just joined us, I mean, you obviously didn't see before the recording, but Mac has a apple flavored Busch Light that Nick nearly lost his eyeballs on when he first saw it. But I think we're discovering that it's not living up to quite the hype, I guess you could say. So not a big fruity beer podcast over in these neck of the woods.
Definitely not. That's good though, because then I don't have to like continue killing myself trying to find it. So
I do have to ask, or actually, Mac, I have to ask you, did you receive a text from Stephen Baker at all, either last night or this morning?
I don't think so.
Okay. So here's the story before we get rolling. So if you're new here, Stephen Baker is one of Mac's good friends from growing up playing hockey together, and he's been on our show twice already. And so last night, I played part-time at a men's league in Reisterstown in the Maryland area, for those who are new here. And on the other side, I see like a guy who I think looks like Steven. He's got the mustache going. He's got a tan, he's got the hair. And I noticed he had on like the Stars, like the Baltimore Stars shell. And I was like, that kind of looks like Steven. And then his socks were purple, black, and white. I was like, I know he played for JMU. Like that's their color. I was like, it has to be Steven. Like there's no way it's not. So I'm playing part-time for these guys. They needed a couple skaters. We only had like, I think 8 or 9. So it was a dog. But we got worked. They won like 10-2. From what I heard from my team, they're like a B League team that dropped down to C because of COVID, because B got too crowded or whatever. I don't really know the whole story. Well, anyways, disclaimer, I had a goal and an assist. So let's at least start the story on a good note for Harrison, because it doesn't end well.
Attaboy.
So did Steven play defense growing up? I don't think he did, right?
He and I both played defense when we first started hockey, and then we both switched to forward for like the rest of our like youth careers and into high school and college and all that. But whenever I play men's league with Steven, he often plays D.
He was on D last night. And so it's like, I think it was like after a whistle, like goalie freezes the puck, and I was like, Steven? And I'm wearing a visor, so you can see me, but like with the cage, it's a little harder. And he's like, hey. I was like, it's Harrison. He's like, oh shit, like, what's up, dude? I was like, oh, what's going on? Like, funny seeing you here, whatever. And so obviously we get worked. Well, every time he had the puck, I was like trying a little harder because I was like, I don't want to get like embarrassed or, vice versa. And if I had the puck, I was like, I'm going to try to do something, fancy. So it was one of those games where the other team is just cycling nonstop in your own zone and you're just chasing the entire game. And third period, Steven's at the point and I have to go up because, our wingers are not the smartest tools in the shed. So like they're all over the place. So I have to go cover the point as the center. And Steven walks me at like full blown. Like I kind of like was going up to try to take the puck and he does a nice little toe drag around me, completely walks me. I'm like, fuck. And he dances the next guy in line behind me. And right before he's at like the right face-off dot, kind of a bad angle shot, but right before he's about to rip it, I like reach as far as my long ass arms can go and lift his stick at the last second so he can't get the shot off. And he just goes, God damn it, you had to. And I was like, I said, I can't let that get on the pod, dude. You're gonna end up telling Mac or something. And so it just made the whole game funny because I was like, everything that happens to me here could potentially be on the podcast. And that kind of fucked with my head the rest of the game. But yeah, he walked me. So I'll give him a shout out. He completely undressed me. So
gave you like the young Eric Carlson, like just on the blue line right around you kind of thing.
Yeah, he's got good hands. I'll definitely give it to him. So thought that was kind of a funny story. I was gonna say like, oh, we should get a picture after the game, but I was like,
that's the second time you two have like randomly bumped into each other, right?
Yeah, I bumped into him on Light Street one time, like while we were all out and about, but that's the first time like in a game. So good game, Steven. You guys absolutely killed us. So I guess, whatever, but figured you guys would want to hear about that. So for today, getting on to relevant things, we had on guest Simon Olsson. I was actually not a part of this interview. I was running around doing things for the Laughlin Family Foundation tournament at the time. So Nick, Mac, do you guys have any previews for the listeners?
Yeah, Simon's super cool guy, super nice, was nice enough to come on and talk to us. He played pro, he played in the Q and then played over in Sweden. And I think he did 1 or 2 seasons in Norway and Germany as well. And now he's an agent for one of the biggest, Swedish hockey agencies out there. And he's got some pretty interesting clients that I think people will enjoy hearing about.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the interview too. I thought he was really fun to talk to. I specifically thought it was cool just hearing from somebody who is an agent in the hockey world in general. Just because we haven't had anybody on that has had that position before. So I think you guys are all gonna really like it. I know we did.
Sir, you guys will find that at the middle of the interview. Mac, do you have a question of the day for us?
I do. I'm actually going to give you guys like a left hand, right hand type choice thing here. And then you can tell me which way you want to go. I have either a fantasy hockey related question that I could ask to you and to our listeners, or even though it's not hockey related, it is sports related. I have a pretty interesting, in my opinion, baseball question I could ask since baseball playoffs are coming up and all that stuff.
I'll let Harry decide.
Baseball on mute. Sorry.
Okay. There's only 2 MLB teams currently right now. This is, I guess, more of like a trivia question, but I think you guys will like it. There's only 2 current MLB teams right now whose primary logo is not a letter or some combination of letters. Can you name them? Only 2 of them. And we're talking their primary logo, like what they have on like their
hat.
It's mostly on their hat, but yeah, like if you were to go on like the app and it has like their name next to the scoreboard and like stuff like that, like
what about like, because like the Yankees, like half the time they use the NY and then the other half they use that stupid hat with the bat thing in it.
Yeah, but the hat with the bat thing is not their primary logo. I mean the NY is there. Like what you most commonly think of with the team.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a logo where I don't really see the letter that often, right? I mean, for the Red Sox, they obviously have the B and the B's on the hat, but they also have the Sox logo, I'm assuming.
They do, but the B is their primary logo right now.
You got to give me a second. That's going to be tough.
Hint, really they're both in the same division.
Okay. Can you tell me AL or NL, or is that too much?
They're both in the same division in the AL, I will say.
Is this one of those ones where I'm going to be like, fuck, this was sitting right in front of my face the whole time?
One of them is sitting.
Is one of them the O's?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it
I knew
actually?
that.
Yeah.
Because they have the bird on the.
It's
on
the
the
cartoon
hat.
bird. That's their
Yeah.
primary logo. The cartoon bird
It's
face.
it's not like the O's like with
They
the
have
apostrophe.
that, but they
not the
that's
primary.
on like their alternate jerseys, and it's on like a few random like merch things they've done, but it's not their primary logo.
And then it's the Jays, right?
Blue Jays.
Okay.
They have the bird as well.
Wow.
What the fuck, Nick?
Bam
Where'd
bam.
that come from?
Photographic memory, baby.
Holy shit.
One comment, people like to say the Brewers. However,
That is an M and a B.
well, yeah. So they do have the one logo that's the cursive M with the barley underneath, like or it's wheat or barley, I forget. But their primary logo right now is the glove, and people say, well, that one counts, right? It's a glove, but yeah, you're right. It isn't. It's an M and a B to form a baseball glove.
It's one of the best like creative designs out there.
It's a good one for sure.
That's
But yeah, I don't know. I
incredibly
just think that's
interesting.
pretty interesting. If you look down, like literally every single logo is just a letter or like two letters or like I don't know why, but the MLB loves their letter logos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like a varsity like
Because they're all 100 years old.
Exactly.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, it's
bingo.
also
That's
true.
it right there.
That was a good one, Mac. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I have not a question a day, but just a general question. Why is it okay for people to buy jerseys that don't relate to their favorite team? It's okay to do that in every sport except for football. Why? There's no right answer. I'm
Wait,
just
what do you
curious.
mean? Like if I'm a Caps fan and I bought like a Nathan McKinnon Avalanche jersey, like that's
Totally
all fine. But
totally
because
fine.
I'm a Ravens fan, I can't just go buy like a
Like a
Patrick
Panthers
Mahomes jersey or something like that. Like,
Yeah. Why is that? Why is it like that? I've had this discussion with my friends because what I was telling them is it weird if I got like a football jersey that wasn't a Ravens jersey? And they were like, yeah, it is. I was like, well, I agree with you, but I don't know why I agree with you.
I don't know. Like, it's kind of weird though, because like I had like my brother and I had LaDainian Tomlinson Chargers jerseys growing up because one, he was the shit, and two, like the Chargers were like
If he's
so
if it's
cool
retired,
back then.
if it's retired, and I know that you're saying it was current. If it's retired, it's fine. But like, why do I feel weird buying like a Christian McCaffrey jersey? Like,
Yeah.
why? Is
Yeah, that is weird now that you say
because
that.
I feel like football is one of those sports where you pretty much wear the jersey when the game is happening. Like you
Mhm.
wear it like on people wear their jerseys on Sundays or on Thursday if their team's playing that day or Monday or whatever. But like, I feel like it's much more commonplace to just wear a hockey jersey to like a party or wear even a baseball jersey to like a cookout or whatever.
right?
Or a basketball jersey to a concert or a party or whatever. Like those, I feel like you see those jerseys out and about more at like social settings more often than you do just a random football jersey, unless that team's literally playing that day and you're looking at a fan of that team.
It's funny though, because that's like, it's true for the NFL, but it's the complete opposite for college. Like I have like two random college football jerseys just sitting in the closet.
And that's very cool. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic going on there. I just wanted to hear your guys' thoughts because I can't really rationalize why it's like that, but it just is.
Yeah.
Because you think about the NBA, everybody has some jersey, you know, for any team at any given moment. Baseball, you know, I feel like it's very acceptable, especially with hats. I mean, you know, Yankees hats, Dodgers hats, White Sox hats, they're like fashion statements, basically.
Yep.
Hockey, you know, you can kind of buy anyone's jersey. This one right here looks pretty good. Right above my finger. Thank you. Mac, what is that? Is that Ovi? Yeah.
That's Ovi's Russia one.
Nice. There you go. All right. Well, let's hop into it. But before we do, just want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Brackish Life. If you're like us and grew up on the water and outdoors, Brackish Life is perfect for you. They have a wide selection of gear from UV shirts to hoodies and hats. It's Real Bay apparel made by Real Bay people. Head to www.brackish.life today to check them out. A little salty, a little fresh Brackish Life. Brackish Life has also teamed up with Rink to Reef Chesapeake Bay to preserve the area many of us call home. Rink to Reef repurposes broken hockey sticks into oyster restoration habitats. Brackish Life donates a portion of their proceeds to Rink to Reef to further preserve the beautiful Chesapeake Bay area. Support this great cause by checking out www.brackish.life today. Thank you, Brackish Life, for sponsoring. You know, with the cold months coming up, they got a lot of warm gear, great hoodies, like flannel material, fleece material, anything that you could want, it's out there. So go check out their website. You can also go to their website through ours if you go to the bottom of the homepage. So Nick, I'm going to toss it off to you to take us through the news.
Yeah, before we get into anything, I mean, I know you enjoy doing this, Harry. If you're like me and you like going to the beach in like October, November, December, and, you know, walking around on the beach in shorts and maybe like a lined hoodie, Brackish Life has the best stuff out there for that.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, hopping into the news. And unfortunately, the first thing we have to talk about is an extremely ugly situation that came out of the UHL, which is the Ukrainian Hockey League, for those that don't know. The International Ice Hockey Federation condemned the actions of HC Kremenchuk forward Andrei Deniskin after he made a racist gesture towards HC Donbass defenseman Jalen Smerik, who's black. Deniskin mimed peeling and eating a banana in the direction of Smerik. The 24-year-old from Detroit is playing in Ukraine after spending parts of 5 seasons in the American Hockey League and the East Coast Hockey League. Smerik played 17 games for the Tucson Roadrunners last season, where he was teammates with good friend of the podcast, Chris Nell. The statement from the IIHF is as follows. The IIHF condemns in the strongest possible terms the actions of Andrei Deniskin. This is a direct assault on the ideals and values of our game, and we will ensure that all necessary ethics violation investigations occur to ensure that this behavior is sanctioned appropriately. Deniskin posted an apology on his Instagram page saying it was a gesture that someone can consider as an insult in race, that his emotions got the best of him, and that he respects all people regardless of their race or nationality. In response, Smerik says he will not take to the ice again until the player who directed the taunt toward him is expelled from the league. This is just awful.
Yeah. I mean, did you guys see the Twitter comments from most of the black current NHL players? JT Brown, Ryan Reeves, P.O. Joseph. I can name off more. Those were the first 3 that came to mind. Just bad. I mean, have they announced the punishment? Do we know if there's like a lifetime?
I haven't seen anything yet. The latest I saw was Smerik's response saying he's not going to play until this guy's expelled.
Yeah, I think good for him for making that decision. It really puts the accountability in the hands of the league to make the right call, and hopefully they will. I think it's deserved. I mean, there's no place for it in hockey. There's no place for it anywhere. Honestly, we could talk about it all day, but everybody should know that by now.
Absolutely.
I would fully expect at least a season suspension, probably more likely a lifetime suspension. And
I would think so, that's what's coming. And I think that's so. Yeah, that's the right course of action.
Cheers to that. Fuck you, Deniskin, or whatever
here.
The fuck your name is. Piece of shit.
Anyways,
yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah. Moving on, Jack Eichel failed his physical at the Buffalo Sabres training camp and has been stripped of his captaincy as the team and its franchise player remain at an impasse over the surgery options. I texted you guys this, but this is really like just that bad couple everyone knew in college. Like either just get married or break up. Let's just end this now, you know.
Or get married and then break up.
Exactly. It's like, you know, you like them both, you're friends with them both, but every time you guys go to the bars, they get into fights. It's just like, okay, enough's enough.
Did you guys see that video? I forget which hockey Insta account posted it, but it was the one that was like 10 other captains that got stripped of, or 10 other NHL legends that got stripped of their captaincy.
I think Bardown posted that.
Yeah.
I think you're right. All I remember off the top of my head was Joe Thornton was one of them.
Patrick Marleau
as well. Yeah.
Dustin Brown.
Yep. I'd have to find. Oh, here it is. Let's see.
Trevor Linden when Vancouver traded for Messier.
Oh my God.
Do you have it pulled up?
Yeah, it's a video, so it has to like scroll through, but it said Marleau, then Thornton. Wait for it. Let's get one more. Dustin Brown. We already said that one. Fuck.
Those are the first 3 that came to mind.
Yeah.
But anyway, point is
that's
got traded. Or actually, Dustin Brown didn't get traded.
Luongo, they made him captain and then took it away.
That is true. Mike Modano.
Oh, I always forget that he was
you're wearing a Dallas Stars jersey right now.
Everyone like thinks he was captain there for like 20 years, and it was only his for 2, I think.
He got traded too. So all these names are getting traded except for Dustin Brown.
Yeah.
True.
Interesting.
I feel like when you get traded, though, it's a little different than like just getting it stripped, you know?
Yeah. I guess I'm trying to find a trend here because I just was asked to get traded.
However, this is also a more specific situation. It's not the kind of thing where it's like anything Jack Eichel did wrong. It's just more fuckery from the Buffalo Sabres.
Right. And like, I don't know if you guys have gone on Daily Face Off and taken a look at the lineup that they're about to field for this upcoming season, but it's appalling.
It's stupid. Yeah, it's
laughable. Tank for Shane Wright.
You want to hear the goaltending duo?
Yeah.
I'm scared.
One,
they lost Allmark too, right?
Right. Number one, Craig Anderson.
Oh my God.
Number two,
guy.
Aaron Dell.
Yeah. It's gonna be a rough year for
Craig. Does not deserve to have to do that. Like,
not at all.
That's a shame.
At
least he'll get playing time though. I mean, I'm sure the guy just wants to play some more NHL games before he hangs them up. So
definitely.
Name me a worse job in pro sports than being the Sabres goalie this season.
Oh, fuck.
Being a clay pigeon at a skeet shooting
anybody
event.
Being anybody on the Detroit Lions right now.
Yeah. What a fucking kick, by the way. Can we take a moment of this podcast for
I think it's deserving.
Justin Tucker hitting the longest field goal in NFL history at 66 yards with no time left on the clock to win the game and get the Ravens to 2-1 in the year. Absolutely.
And something incredible. That not as many people are talking about is 4th and 29 or some shit like that. 4th and 19. I forget.
More. 36-yard pass to Watkins.
When it hit the crossbar, what was your guys' reaction? Because I couldn't tell if it was spinning forwards or backwards.
Well, I unfortunately was at work, so I didn't get to watch it live. So when I watched it, it was a replay, and I knew that it did go in, but it didn't say in the video, like the first one I clicked, that it went off the crossbar or anything. It was just like Justin Tucker kicks the longest one in history, and I was like, no way. And I click it, and I'm watching, and I'm like, wait, that doesn't really look like it's gonna make it. And then
I just like my brain kind of like fucked up with my eyes. Like my brain was like, holy shit, I'm watching it go in. But then I was like, it hit the crossbar. Like there's no way that should go in, be just the way that it rotates. Like you would think that it would go the other way. I don't know. I went in it, but my brain didn't register it until I saw him running around with his finger up. Like,
there's an angle of it from behind JT.
Yeah, I saw that.
He kicks it. And what's funny is as it's in the air and starting to come down, he starts running he's like, he knows he's got it, but it's like, he almost didn't get it. It hit I don't think he knew at that point that it was going to hit the post and go in.
I don't think we're going to see that one beat for a long time.
Well, I also don't think if you put 10 of the best kickers in the world on a football field and put them anywhere on the field and say, chip it and hit the post and have it go in. I don't think you could do that if you tried with like 100 tries. It's just a fluke. Like that part of it, we got lucky that made it far enough in that it hit the thing and went in. Like
it's crazy.
Jesus.
I don't think that record will be broken for a long, long time. It might never be, but I can tell you that if you want to frame it a certain way, that will probably go down as the longest game-winning field goal in NFL history, possibly forever. Like the only other time I can imagine that is it might get broken, like if someone does it at halftime and there's no time left, or if it's a fourth quarter thing. But
it's going to have to be in Denver too.
Or indoors. That's the thing, is that Detroit is indoors, so you don't get the win. You don't get anything. I'm not taking anything away from him, but like you kind of need those conditions to even have a chance.
Right.
The reactions from Lions fans is just nothing short of hysterical.
Yeah,
priceless.
Really funny. Also watching, like, it was really funny trying to zoom in on Lions fans behind the uprights that saw it, and as it hit the post, all went, oh, and then as it went in, went, oh.
Yeah. Did you know that the longest field goal in NFL history prior to that was also against the Lions?
Yep.
That's hilarious.
It was Matt Prater, right?
Wasn't that guy for the Saints? Like way back. I don't know.
Could be wrong.
Hockey podcast, not football podcast.
One more thing about it before we move on is that the Lions were literally being super loud. Like you could tell they were like, holy shit, we're gonna win our first game. I saw that like there was a probability thing where even when he got, like, I think when it was 4th and 19 or whatever for Lamar, the Lions win probability was like 80 or no, I think it was like 95% or something like that.
Mhm.
And then even when Justin Tucker was lining up to attempt that kick, the Lions win probability was still like 85% or something like that. Anybody that live bet the Ravens at that point, I commend you, and that's awesome.
And if you did, it's got to be it's pretty hard to live bet that late. There's
A lot of sites will freeze it, like
they
under
freeze
a
it.
minute, under 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta almost
Even
have to
under
get it before
5.
that.
Yeah. So, but I bet there's someone out there that got it.
Great game, nonetheless.
For sure. Moving on,
back to
the
hockey.
NHL has stated that there will be stricter enforcement of Rule 59 on cross-checking. Specifically, the stricter enforcement will occur in 3 areas where cross-checks are delivered. I read the description on what those areas are, and basically those 3 areas are everywhere.
Yeah,
So
that's really all there is.
So like even in the front, or it's just from behind, you mean?
I think mainly they're focusing on from behind, but I think all over the place. I know defensemen in particular have spoken out saying like, okay, well, now I need to completely adjust the way I play the game.
Right.
And we all knew that.
Yeah.
But if there is like an example of a really, really bad and cross check that should be banned, I recommend everyone go look at a cross check that was delivered by Ryan Reeves on John Carlson in game, what was it, 1 of the Stanley Cup final?
I remember that. And then he scored.
He scored like 2 seconds afterwards.
Yeah, he clobbers Carlson in front of the net. And also, like, if you're on offense and you do that, I agree they should crack down on that. Like,
it's the only time I've ever
Here we
seen
go.
like John Carlson blow his stack.
yeah, no, for real. That man is
Right.
usually cool, calm, and composed. And he was like, what the fuck?
He
And
was screaming
rightfully
at the
so,
refs.
Yeah.
Let the Reeves slander kid go. Here we go. October 13th.
Come
Did you
on,
see-
you
did-
hate him too.
You
Come
know
on.
you hate him too. Did you
I
see what
don't
he was
hate him
doing
that
in
much.
Rangers training camp? He was
Yeah,
teaching
he's teaching
literally
guys how to fight.
teaching guys how to fight.
Why wouldn't you? October.
I
13th
didn't
is
realize
2
this was
weeks
like
away.
Full Metal Jacket and Gunnery Sergeant Hartman's coming in to teach everyone how to
my
like go to war
God,
here.
That's fucking awesome.
Pick your operator because it's gonna be war on
Right.
October 13th.
Oh, I
Yep.
can't wait.
I don't know if you guys saw this, and this is kind of like a hockey hardo thing, but as a result of this, stricter rule enforcement, there was a video that got not leaked, but that went around. One of the Blues reporters tweeted, I can't remember who it was, but basically they had a drill where the defensemen were trying to clear out in front of the net, the forwards. And, traditionally you have 2 hands on the stick and you would kind of pry down on their pants, maybe give them jabs in the back. Well, what they're teaching you now is instead of holding the stick with 2 hands like this, you have your stick in 1 hand, it lays flat on the ice, and you're just shoving with 2 hands with no stick involved at all. They won't crack down on that technically, but I mean, who knows if that actually gets used in a game.
I say you just drop your stick and then just clobber them with both your hands.
That's what Ryan Reeves might do.
Yeah, bring the
so.
70s back. Why not? I just hope this isn't like what they did to the league when, like back in 2018, it's like, okay, we're going to introduce all these reviews for offsides and goalie interference, and it just like ruins everything.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be quite that bad, but I guess we'll see.
Moving on down the list again, there is no evidence found that San Jose Sharks forward Evander Kane bet on NHL games this past season or ever. The league now considers this matter closed. The investigation, which was conducted by Patterson, Belknap, Webb, and Tyler LLP in conjunction with the NHL security, was spurred by allegations in social media posts by Kane's wife, Deanna. The couple recently entered divorce proceedings, as we've talked about in the past. Earlier Wednesday, Front Office Sports reported that a domestic violence restraining order application filed by Deanna Kane this week included allegations of sexual and domestic violence. Evander Kane's attorney wrote a statement to Front Office Sports that Evander denies ever abusing Miss Kane or their daughter.
He's also now being, what's the word? I don't know what the word is. They're saying he violated the COVID-19 protocols. So that's another thing that's on his plate. I think at this point, it's probably a better question to ask what he hasn't been accused of instead of what he has been accused of. I would also like to ask the NHL if they have any evidence of us betting on NHL games. That's all.
Which we can show them. It's like, here's my last tax return and every game I bet on last year.
This is what I'd say that whole situation boils down to. Do you guys think he's going to play for the Sharks this year or no? Or for
I have
anyone?
no idea.
Like, do you think we'll see him play hockey again?
No,
I have no idea. It could go either way.
I don't think he's there's just too many. There's too much coming along
opening
with
night
him.
was tomorrow. I feel like he would suit up, right? I mean, they haven't banned him. It's not like
I mean, you're innocent until proven guilty, right?
right. Like I feel like he'd be
But
there.
the team doesn't
unless
even
the coach like benched him or something, which I guess could happen. But
the team doesn't even want him. I mean, Couture basically came out and said, yeah, like we're having problems in the locker room and stuff. And I just feel like when you start entering that territory.
But I thought Couture said something like, we're not going to talk about it. What happens in the locker room stays in the locker room or whatever.
He did, but like that was
other players have said
up.
something that like it's like enough's enough. I think, if everything comes out and it's like all this is just, slander be put against him, I really hope it does get cleared and he gets back to playing, because I mean that would suck to have to go through. But if all this is true, this guy shouldn't be playing in the league at all.
For sure. I also just like struggle to understand how it could all be slander. Like why, you know what I mean? Like why would somebody just be out to get this guy? Like, I mean, I guess if his ex-wife was like, just like, whatever, I'm not going to go down that road, but
yeah. Whoops.
30 of the NHL's now 32 rinks will be at full capacity for the start of the season. That's something great to hear. Montreal and Vancouver will be the only two that are not at full capacity at the start, but obviously that could change as the season goes on. Speaking of Montreal, Jonathan Drouin talked openly and candidly about his mental health and his reasons for shutting it down last season. If you are unfamiliar with that, he basically stopped playing at some point last year due to what he called, I think it was like a medical issue or whatever the team called a medical issue. In his first public comments addressing his leave of absence, Drouin told TSN and RDS that he's dealt with anxiety problems and insomnia relating to his anxiety for many years, before detailing the emotional wall he hit on a road trip out west that caused him to walk away from the club last year. He returned to skating with the Habs the other day, and I don't know if you guys saw this, but he actually had 2 points in their preseason game against the Leafs the other night, so that's great to see.
That's awesome, man. I mean, this is a talented guy. This guy was talked about so much on his way up and on his route to the NHL. I feel like we still have not seen how good this guy can be at the top level of hockey. Like he has yet to reach his ceiling. Whether or not he can actually get there, we don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm rooting for the guy. It's cool that he did what he needed to do. And, it's always good to see guys put their health first and then be able to come back after that and play well.
Yeah, I mean, I always feel like he's gotten the short end of the stick too. People are really easy to jump on this guy, and he's always going to have that comparison to McKinnon because they were teammates in junior, and they got in 2013, they were drafted 1st and 3rd overall. I mean, like when has that happened for like another junior team ever? He's
played on a lot of like really good teams with a lot of really good players that are some of the league's top superstars right now. So there's a million reasons why he can be an exceptional player in the NHL.
Yeah. So. I'm pretty sure he outscored McKinnon one of those years in Halifax too. So
he may have, props to him for speaking up. I mean, I think this is something that a lot of athletes are dealing with, a lot of people are dealing with in general, but especially with the pressure that, professional athletes are put under, let alone a Canadian market like Montreal and the NHL. It's a lot to handle, but, it seems like he's kind of gotten his bearings back. And like you said, he's got 2 points in the game. So as long as he's feeling good, that's really all that matters. And the Habs are going to need him. They're definitely going to need him this season because, they got a lot of injuries that they're facing, so he's going to be a big part of the team. And I don't know if you saw, I think it was, who was it? I can't remember the Hab that said, but they were saying, it was Josh Anderson. They were saying you have no idea how good it is to have Johnny back in the locker room. And that made my heart feel good. It's good to know that your guys have your back.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
All right. Well, I think it's time to toss it off to Simon Olsson. But before we do, we just want to remind everyone that summer may be over, but there has still never been a better time to get out on the water. Are you looking to finance that new boat or yacht you've always dreamed of? Well, you're in luck. Because the Yacht Lender is a specialist in marine finance. With partnerships with 15 different banks, he is the right lender for whatever vessel you may be in the market for. Backed by Trident Funding with over 25 years as an industry leader, the Yacht Lender has the expertise and know-how to finance the boat of your dreams. And if you want to meet him, you can actually see him at the Annapolis Powerboat Show from October 7th to 10th, the Annapolis Sailboat Show from October 14th to 18th, and the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show from October 27th to 31st, which I'm assuming we're invited to. So I would hope we get to go to those. Don't wait. Apply today at www.yachtlender.com or check him out on Instagram at yachtlender to see others who have already gotten out on the water. I'm assuming those events will be at, and they'll, drinks will be free. I would hope so.
Something like that. That's what I heard. It's all on him, actually. That's what I heard. Big rumor. Yachtlender needs some financial help right now. Things have been kind of taking a turmoil the past couple weekends. We've had some expensive weekends.
Yeah, the last month I think has been a little bit hard for him.
First 25 people that show up to the event get a free helmet, a free NASCAR helmet.
Hey, yeah, I'm shocked. Did he send you a new ad read for that? Did he modify it?
Yeah, we modified it a little bit.
We as in you and him, like a collective effort.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. Have we told the helmet story on the podcast yet?
I don't think we have.
Should
might
we?
As well.
Yeah,
I guess we should. Nick, I'll let you take it.
So let's start at the beginning. So not this past time when we went to NASCAR in Richmond, but Yachtlender and I were at NASCAR in Dover a little while earlier, and he kept saying that he was going to buy this $400 real size, replica Chase Elliott helmet. And we were like, no, you're not. No, like, don't be an idiot. Like, why would you do that? And so going into this race at Richmond, we all sort of just had this understanding, like, if we say you're not going to do it enough, he'll buy the helmet.
Do it, yeah.
And so we're tailgating, we're pre-gaming, and then we go to walk around the haulers and, pick up some gear and stuff. And lo and behold, what does he do? Drops $400 and buys a helmet.
The funniest thing I've ever seen. He literally looked at the guy who was like working the cashier station. He says, I'm going to spend $1,000. I just want you to know that. And the guy said, okay. And sure as shit, he spent a lot of money. So yes, we need to get Yachtlender back on financial stability, help him out. If you're looking for a boat, it's the off season. I don't know anything about boats, but maybe they're cheaper. We'll see.
You forgot about the part where he then wanted to put the helmet on, but there's a bar in the middle of the helmet because it's a replica and it's not meant to be worn for
that exact reason.
And then he
took
spent about an hour using a really, a pocket knife that is not meant for this type of cutting to try and saw the bar out of the helmet, and that got him pretty much nowhere, and then he gave up.
So even if he does get it on, he's just going to be inhaling like metal shavings for the rest of his life.
It looked like a shark bit it. I was like, what is wrong with you? Like, weirdo. But anyways, what a great weekend. I don't know if we can't tell all the stories, but you're getting
No.
I'm sure you'll get more glimpses as we get further into the season. But thank you, Yachtlender, for sponsoring this Simon Olsson interview. We're going to toss it over to Simon right now.
All right, everyone. Well, it's now my pleasure to welcome on a very special guest to the Empty Betters podcast, all the way from Sweden. We'd like to welcome Mr. Simon Olsson. Simon, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about where you are and, where you came from and how you got into hockey in the first place?
Born and raised in Sweden, Gothenburg, hockey city, I'd say. Started hockey very early on a mom and dad started playing when I was 2-3, got my first skates, and
wow.
It's been hockey ever since. I played here in a bigger team called Frölunda growing up, produced a lot of great players in the last couple of decades, I'd say. But when I was 15, 16, I was a little bit of an agitator, and I decided to move to North America to play junior hockey and try that route, which wasn't very common over here. I was maybe the first one from the city to do it. And I followed a couple of older guys, actually. They went to the Dub up in Canada, the Western League there, and they were kind of my guys to follow in their footsteps. So I took that route, different, but best decision I've made my whole life, I'd say. I did when I was 16, leaving for US and Canada for 4.5 years. After that, I decided to, I didn't make it pro. I played my last year as a junior in the Q up in Baie-Comeau, way north. And ended up leaving after that for Europe to play professional hockey in Sweden, which was always a dream as well. NHL was the big goal and stuff like that. But to try and reach my goals, that was the best path I could take. And rounded up 6-7 years of professional hockey in Europe, and then joined this route. Became an agent 5 years ago, and continuing on that path now. So it's living the dream.
Yeah, very cool. So what made you reach that decision? You know, you talk about it being a little bit of an unorthodox path to leave Sweden to go to North America. What helped you come to make that decision?
I knew a few people over there, like when I was younger, and hockey and NHL was my life. There was nothing else in it. I wasn't a big fan of school, not a big fan of other people than hockey people. So everything was evolved around hockey, and my mother couldn't stop me when I had this choice to go to. I started off in midget major, and they were supportive. I'm huge of that. They let me go, and all I wanted to do was to live the hockey dream, and I got to do that through that path.
So where did you end up when you first made the jump over to North America? Were you in the US or Canada, and were you staying with just like a billet family or something like that? Or
It started off, I went to a couple of showcases during that summer, and so I went up to Denver to begin with, and jumped on a team there for under 18 midget major. I was one of the younger kids on the team, and they treated me extremely well. They put me in high school, and great billet family. So I was there for a couple of months, and back then I think it's still like that. You go around and do a lot of tournaments, midget majors. So we traveled around the US, Dallas, Vegas, LA, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Boston, Chicago, and every tournament there was billions of scouts. It was scouts everywhere, and a couple of months in, I got a call from USHL, and Chicago wanted to pick me up from Colorado, so I had to leave school, and I decided to leave Colorado after 4 months. I think 4 months.
You were just your second season in Chicago. You were just shy of a point a game. Yeah, some serious numbers there, my friend.
We had a good squad. We had a really good team that year. The second year was probably the most fun junior year I had over there. A lot of skilled players, good coaches, to be honest. I think some of the guys, 2 or 3 went on to win the Hobey Baker in the next 2 or 3 years. 4 or 5 guys signed in the NHL, and we had me and another European guy who played a long time in European hockey over here. So it was most of them are actually over here now playing pro. So I see them still a couple of times a year, and
that's cool.
It's the best part of the job, to be honest.
What was the transition like going from playing in the USHL to playing in the Q? You spent time in Baie-Comeau, as you mentioned, another monster year for you point wise there. What was that adjustment like?
I'd say the Q is a little bit more skilled, maybe. Not as tough at all, I'd say. If you are the top line guys, you get minutes, you get power play, you get a big role, and you get a chance to make a mistake, you do it again. You know, your role is to put up points. And in the USHL, you put on you got to work harder. You got to be good in all 3 zones. The Q, I kind of got away with a little bit, unfortunately. I don't think it made me a better player. I was skilled. I could have put up points, and power play was my part of the game. But to be honest, I should have went the college route or tried the other leagues maybe to develop the other parts of my game.
Okay. Moving on from the Q, you end up going back over to Sweden. What was your experience like going back over there? What was the team that you played for? And you ultimately said that was one of the best decisions you ever made. It just seemed like that was a great experience for you.
It was. I wanted to stay in North America if I had the right deal, and the offer came to me. The only thing I got that was a little bit interesting was maybe a tryout with the Chicago Wolves. And looking into it, I was always interested in parts like what does their depth look like and all that. How many picks do they have, and who's their prospect? I had no shot in hell of making that team when it came to that, and it kind of hit me early. So Rögle gave me a shot, and they just got relegated from the highest league, and we're a top team in Sweden in general when it came to organization and hockey wise. They had a number of legends who were coaches and great at it. So I got an opportunity there, and we had 2 years in a row where we were top team, and then we qualified up to the SHL the second year there. But we had some really good players.
Where you were playing when you came back to Sweden, was it close to where you had originally grown up, or was it a different part of the country? Were like your family and friends able to come watch you play frequently, or?
It was pretty close. It was an hour and a half, 2 hours away from my home, where my parents and grandparents, they pretty much came to all the games that year. So that was fun. They haven't been able to see me a lot in the past 4 or 5 years. So that was a humble experience.
You mentioned, the city you grew up in, you called it a hockey city. And, you spoke earlier about the amount of players that that program for Lunda has produced. That's a name that, I'm all too familiar with. I know that's like the top tier Swedish ice hockey program. What was that experience like? And what is, what's the hockey passion like over in Gothenburg?
It's huge, and it grew the past couple of, I'd say 10 years. The bar of being a Frölunda player is set very high. You have to be professional from a very young age, maybe a little bit too early sometimes for some kids, but they have high demands on you, what to do physically, mentally. You got to be, but they work on it too. The kids in Frölunda, I got to say, they become great players because of the high standards of leadership and everything from practice, training, off ice, on ice. And you see, like, they put up all these names in the door in the hallways, and they have Joel Lundqvist as the captain there, Henrik's twin brother, and he kind of set the bar the past 10 years of what do we expect from you. If you're 17 and you come up in a practice, he demands you to go balls to the walls and work harder than the guy next to you. And it kind of grows in the locker room from under 16 to under 20 and then up to the pro team. And if you do all that stuff, you should be good enough to play hockey for a bunch of years. So, I mean, these guys, Klingberg, Carlson, Jacob Larsson, Henrik Lundqvist. I mean, there's so many to mention. It's ridiculous how we've been fortunate here in Gothenburg with professional players.
Yeah. After playing in Sweden, you move over and do a season in Norway. What was that transition like?
It was special. I was kind of getting a bit, my confidence in my hockey in Sweden was going in another direction. I wanted to try something completely different. So I got a contract in Norway there. Not a bad contract, not a bad team. We had a lot of North Americans, a good squad, and we just didn't get it together. The hockey it was at that time, it was a really low level of seriousness. Like, the referees were a joke. The league itself, it kind of didn't have like what standard do we want in. So they haven't grown into it yet, but it's better now. Like, I'd say, I hope it is, at least.
If you had to compare the playing style in the Swedish league to one of the other leagues that you played in maybe say North America, what would be the most similar?
I'd say Sweden and North America.
Okay.
Tougher parts of the game, like you have to be good in all zones, strong on the puck. It's hard to score goals, all that stuff. So I'd say Sweden and North America is the toughest leagues to become a good player at today.
Sure. Growing up, I'm sure you just had tons of hockey idols to choose from. Who was that? You'd always mention that the NHL was always your big goal, and hockey was always the first thing on your mind. Who were Who was your favorite team growing up, if you had one in the NHL, and who were some of your heroes? I'm sure you've got quite a few.
Maple Leafs were my team. We had family friends from Toronto, so always knew about Doug Gilmour, Matt Sundin, Wendell Clark, those players in Toronto. But then Peter Forsberg. If you're born and raised in Sweden and you don't like Peter Forsberg, you don't know what you're talking about. The way he played the game and the way he put his body on the line every night, and the way if it was hitting guys, taking the pucks to the net, scoring clutch goals, big assists, he was there every night. I don't think we'll ever see a player of that dimension, that kind of type of player again, ever, maybe. I hope we do, but I haven't seen it since he left his prime.
Yeah. Hands down, one of my favorite players of all time.
Yeah, it's hard to put words on. I mean, there's so many great players today, unreal, like Crosby and McDavid, Matthews. They have dimensions that Peter didn't have, but you mix all those together and shove in a little bit of Scott Stevens, or that's him, and that was pretty cool to grow up with.
So how did you eventually kind of transition from playing to what you're doing now, being an agent, and just want to talk a little bit more about what it is you're doing now, just for the listeners, so everybody kind of knows?
Well, I got recruited from a company in my hometown who's been doing this for 20 years. One of them was a former NHL player. His name was Patrick Carnback. And then my current boss, Patrick Aronson, who they took me in on a meeting and explained to me what they wanted me to do. And that was work close to the players, travel a lot and see games, see GMs, meet scouts, and take care of our players. And being interested in it when I was a player, I think it helped, because a lot of the players, when I played, they didn't have a relationship with their agents. They only got a call from them when it was a contract signing or anything like that. If they were getting fired or traded or stuff didn't go well, then they called. But in that other parts of life, to become a good hockey player, you need support and feedback sometimes on your game, someone who listens to, and they gave me all the time and motivation to put up all that time on our players. And I feel that's the path we're going in the agency business. It's not just contract signings these days. It's a lot of work on the side to get the players to the level they want and help them achieve their goals. It's not just those 2-3 phone calls every year. It's a little bit more, and that kind of got to me. And I've been fortunate to be and handle all the things I need to become that guy for our guys.
What are some of the things that, in your mind, make a successful agent in, the hockey world today? I'm sure that takes quite a few intangibles.
Yeah, like you said, it takes a few parts of the game and the life to become a good and successful one, I think. But today, I think caring about their game, caring about their life, how they're feeling, how they're doing, and also that little edge. Like if they're not doing well, if you have a top prospect who's going off the edge a little bit or falling out of, maybe finding other interesting stuff and need a little bit of guidance, like don't do this, don't go down that path. You're on your draft year, you might be on your signing year or stuff like that. And 16 to sometimes 20, 21-year-olds, they kind of lose that grasp on where am I, what have I done my whole life to become an NHLer, or if it's a KHL player, Swiss player, sometimes they need to hear a little bit of a wake-up call too, and a mix of that, showing you care and want the player's best for his whole career. If you're fortunate to work together that long, that's what I want, and that's what I think.
You mentioned, part of what comes with being an agent is a lot of travel. I'm curious, what are some of your favorite places you've been to, since I'm sure you traveled all over?
In North America, I'd say I've been to most of the cities now. I love Toronto, love Chicago, but a city that hit me when I was there watching AHL hockey and meeting a client, it was San Diego. That was a awesome city that it was not too big, not too small.
Was that
Perfect
like
weather.
a Gulls game, I'm guessing then, or
Yeah,
San Diego Gulls? Yeah.
Yeah. I thought the city was amazing because I wasn't a big fan of LA. I spent a couple of days there, and once you know LA and know the right places to go, it's better. But at that time, I liked San Diego better.
It's absolutely beautiful. My uncle used to live there. It's just, it's perfect weather all the time, all year round.
Yeah, I had a great time. The restaurants, the city itself, and the golf courses. There was nothing to complain about.
Yeah.
Over here, Europe is a little bit different. We don't travel for a longer time, except for Sweden, but sometimes we go to Switzerland. Is unreal. It's a beautiful country, and you can see 4 or 5 teams in 3 days because the travel is none. So it's a unreal environment, mountains. You got the oceans, not oceans, but lakes. And if you want that, awesome place, Switzerland.
So who are some of the players you're currently working with now? Any notable names that we might know?
NHL contracts, I think we're up to 20 at the moment with our company. And I'd say the most recognizable name is probably Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Other than that, there's a couple of young guys, Andreas Johnson in New Jersey, Elias Anderson, and Jacob Movera with LA Kings. Jussi Saros had a good year with Nashville there, and Antti Ranta. The newly retired Nick Hjalmarsson, he's a legend, I'd say.
Big time.
That guy put his body on the line for his 3 cups, so he was cool to watch. And then we have a couple of young guys coming up here, and Rasmus Kupari is also with the LA Kings there, and there's a bunch of names. Burakovsky is having a good time in Colorado. This is his contract year, so we should be fun to follow that. And a couple of those players there that are notable, and there's a lot more that I could mention, but those are probably the guys you've heard of more.
Yeah, definitely. Those are some big names. What about players that you've gotten close with, just from working with? Are there any ones that stand out to you?
Well, being from Gothenburg, here in the city, we have like Johnson is from here, and I grew up watching his father play, and he played with my younger brother when they grew up. So he's a close pal, and Elias and Jacob Movera over there, they're both born in 98 and spent a lot of time here in Gothenburg, and we get along well. And other than that, I've been a hockey associated guy, so I play a lot of golf with John Klingberg, but we're not representing him, but we're good pals. So we spend some time together in the summers here, and I'd say hockey world is so small, so I see most of them all summers, I'd say.
Everyone knows everyone.
A little bit like that, yeah.
Yeah. How's Klingberg on the golf course?
He's not bad. Not bad. He's got a bomb. It's his putting game that's a little bit struggling.
That checks out. He's got a wicked shot, so.
Yeah, the putting game that's where he loses strokes, I'd say.
Gotcha. I could see that. That's usually
where are you guys located?
We're right outside. So I'm currently right outside of DC. Mac is up in Milwaukee.
Okay.
Yeah.
DC is a good place too. I've been there a couple of times.
Yeah. Great city, just not in the summer.
No?
Yeah, way too humid.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like Chicago.
Yep.
Oof.
True. Yeah. You gotta get close to one of the Great Lakes like I am and get that nice lake breeze, and never too hot out here. So
that's awesome. Milwaukee, I've never been there. Yeah,
it's about an hour north of Chicago. but
I got a couple of
barely this
kids.
year.
I got a couple of kids going into USHL this year, so I might be traveling down the Chicago area for a little bit to see some games there.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm sure you've got some good stories banked just from your entire career. Is there like one or two that always just stand out to you, that always put a smile on your face or make you laugh?
Like you said, there's a couple. I mean, at the initiations, you don't talk about those anymore. They get you in trouble. So
Yep.
we'll see where that leads. But I never had a problem with those. They put a smile on my face, even if today I understand that wasn't very normal. But I had an unreal billet dad in the PEI. I came up, I was 18, I think, and I think the drinking age is 19 in PEI Maritimes. So I didn't have an ID or anything. And he picks me up at the airport, and I never met him, never talked to him on the phone. And he picks me up, just pickup truck. Former player, plays golf all the time, has a little job on the side, and 2 kids playing hockey. So biggest beauty. And he goes right before we parked the car. So, hey man, I have 2 rules in the house. And then I thought, fuck, there's rules. Jeez. A little bit nervous there. And okay, you have your own entrance, you have your own level in the house and all that stuff. So 2 rules is you gotta like beer, and the girls have to be quiet.
That's awesome.
That was his first impression on me, and that's where he set the bar on an 18-year-old European kid who just came to a new family and felt like it was home.
Sounds fair. Those are 2 rules that I feel like are, respectable.
Hockey-wise,
Yeah. They're manageable, right?
It was funny too. It was, and he had a player before me, and I asked a little bit about him, and he told me right away it was a fighter. It was a former fighter. I know a couple of fighters. They weren't my keynotes to follow, but so it was Gallant, who fought a lot in the NHL after that. And,
Okay.
so the Gallant family spent a lot of time at the same billet. So I heard a lot of stories
I
before
bet.
the night was over. So I was quite calm that I'm not gonna ruin their house. So they know what the world of hockey is like.
Yeah, you were set up for success. I mean, you couldn't be much worse than Gallant over there. So
No, they're all beauty. That's the part with hockey players and hockey family. I think that they're so tight. Like no matter where I came, like in Quebec, they didn't speak a word of English. Barely. That family I got hooked up with in Baie-Comeau, and they were treating me like I was their kid. They had 2 daughters, a little bit younger than me, who treated me like a brother right away. And they tried to learn the language just for my
Wow.
help. Like they didn't need it, because up in Baie-Comeau, no one spoke English pretty much. And they just every day picked up and tried to get better on speaking to me and in my ways. So I have a huge respect for those billet families. We don't work like that in Sweden at all. So you can't find a guy who has a billet pretty much. So if I get a big house in the future and I'm still in town here, I would easily put up myself to be a billet for any kid who want to come play hockey and develop their life.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. And those families, I mean, they essentially, like you went through it, and we've had other guys on the podcast who have talked about, like, they raised them, guys that have been doing it since they were like 14 years old. It's a big deal.
It is. I mean, you leave home so early too in hockey, especially in North America, because I mean, some kids leave when they're 14 to go to a huge program, or, it's either a school or a professional program pretty much at that level of 14-year-olds. And you see their parents 4 or 5 times a year, and it's basically the other parents that are raising you together with your own. So it's huge. I find it pretty cool.
Yeah. So have you gotten to do anything fun this summer? Any travel, any relaxation at all, or just been busy?
It's been because of COVID. It's been the traveling has been banned pretty much for a year and a half now, which it's taken a toll on me.
Sure.
Not being able to see games, going to the arenas, visit guys. So it's been a calmer summer than usual. No draft, no camp over in North America. We usually do that for a couple of weeks, and at the same time, you kind of took advantage of it, played some more golf, and more of a job line on the computer and Zoom calls like this. So it's a little bit different, but I'm excited to get back to the normal lifestyle again.
Yeah. How so you mentioned that like travel has been shut down for a year and a half, so I'm assuming you guys are still locked up pretty tight over there.
It's been all right here.
Okay.
It's just the venues, like big venues, they've been shut down big time. But if you want to go out and eat, go out and drink, if you we haven't been locked down like that.
Okay,
at all, I'd say. Yeah. So it's just the big venues and the arenas and traveling outside of Sweden. That's been tough.
Yeah.
So people have had it worse than we have. I'd say like that. Yeah.
Well said.
The venues are actually opening now.
That's good.
October 1st. So that's pretty close to when the season starts here. So that's going to be fun for a lot of people, not just me, but you'll see the happiness in people going to arenas these days. I just saw that clip on Wisconsin, the football team, when they did the jump around.
Yep.
Man, did I want to be at that place. That looked absolutely unreal.
Yeah. Have you ever been to a college football game?
I haven't.
Okay.
Never.
Let us know when you come. We'll take you to one. They are insane.
I've heard that. I've seen it too. And I hope some of our kids now, they sign up with a college that has a unreal football team as well. And that's good too. They can live in the shadows there and not get all the attention from the women and the party wise. So
true.
That should be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up in a couple minutes, I'm curious, big NHL season coming up soon. Who do you have your eye on just for, somebody might make a long run or might be able to hoist the cup? Do you think Tampa Bay can do it a third year in a row?
Third is tough. I think they can, to be honest. I think with that squad, they still can put up without the $18 million above cap. They should be a contendant, but Colorado, I mean, they still have a good team, and if they get that goalie situation, a couple of tougher D-men, I think they should be locked and loaded to put their eyes on that cup. I hope Toronto. For some reason, I still have a little bit of a Toronto chip in my body, and I wish to see those guys go far. Other than that, I think New Jersey's stacked up. I don't know what that will do. Their defense is looking very good.
So does Philly.
It's true. Philly has more offense too than New Jersey maybe at this time. But if they can find maybe before the deadline there, one guy to put up some points with those younger forwards they have, and that decor can maybe step it up a little bit for being New Jersey.
Yeah. In addition to an NHL season, we're also watching NHL players go back to the Olympics this year. What are your expectations for that Swedish team?
If you look at the Finns, the Russians, the Americans, and the Canadians, I think we're starting off being the underdog a little bit.
Okay.
I don't think we have the offense that either of those countries have at this moment. We're missing out on, top 10, top 20 point scorers in the NHL today. I think it's Backstrom that's up there at the moment, and then we have a lot of good team players and point players too, but they're up at 50, 60 points. We don't have a Matthews, we don't have a Kane. I mean, Ovechkin and these guys, they're tough. We have a good decor. I think that's the the way we should start the games, going from the back end. But I mean, Canada, if you don't put those guys as a number one, I'd be shocked. I like the Finns too, though. The Finns,
they're good.
They're good. They're really good. They have some really high-end offense.
They're sneaky good, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't think about those. I mean, you think about them, but they don't ring your bell as much as Kane and Matthews, McDavid, McKinnon's. But Barkov is not far away from that. Heiskanen.
The Czechs make me nervous too.
I think on paper, it's one of the best Olympics since I was born, at least. I'll always remember the Swedish gold, 2006. But that's a long time ago now.
Yeah.
Those guys they're advisors now for our guys. So hopefully they can share some good tips on how to get that gold medal, because after Stanley Cup, I don't think there's anything bigger.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for us. Simon, we just want to say thanks again for taking the time. We really appreciate it. And thank you so much.
No problem. And great job, guys.
Thank you.
I like what you're doing. And thanks for having me.
Of course, anytime. Big thanks to Simon for talking to us. Super nice guy, just super cool, down to earth. And I mean, just has some of the best stories out there.
Yeah, real class act in Simon. And hopefully we'll have him on again sometime, get some more cool stories.
Yeah. Bummed I wasn't able to be there, but next time he comes on, I'm looking forward to that. That was a good listen.
Definitely. Some signings to get to. So let's hop into these. The Buffalo Sabres agreed to terms Wednesday with their defenseman Rasmus Dahlin on a 3-year deal worth $18 million. Thoughts on this?
I feel bad for Dahlin. I don't know if you've seen the highlights of him in camp, but he is literally walking around the entire team, which is no surprise to anybody. Short deal. Luckily, he's not there too long. I can't imagine he's going to be there long term, just given the way things are going there. So get your money while you can.
The one thing that I will say, and this is why hockey is the greatest sport in the world and why the NHL is the most fun pro sport to watch, is because it's guys like Dahlin on the Sabres mixed with, having Craig Anderson. He's bound to have a couple of good nights this season. That's why on any given night, any team can still contend with any other team. Like if you got a guy like Dahlin on your team, and you've got a goalie like Craig Anderson who's been in the league forever, like at some point something's going to click. You're at least going to win some games, steal some games from your opponents. So that's what, in my opinion, you can look at as like a positive out of this guy signing for such a long deal. Well, I guess it's not that long, but for at least a couple more years in Buffalo. Yeah, absolutely. I also think that, people forget that he came in as an 18-year-old. So these 3 years are going to take him to what, when he's 23?
Yeah, he's young as shit. Maybe 23 or 24. I mean, he's going to get his big ticket probably then. So
speaking of young as shit and big ticket, the Wild finally signed Kirill Kaprizov to a 5-year deal with an AAV of $9 million. So Kaprizov finally got that term down to where he wanted. I know the Wild, being the Wild, probably want that to be a lifetime contract, but I think 9 per for a player of, who's shown that caliber for the Wild. I think you have to do it at that point.
Dude, I feel like he had all the power in this negotiation. And if anything, if I'm Bill Guerin, I'm walking away like, okay, not that bad. It's fine. A $45 million deal for 5 years with a guy that age, I think that's fine. The team's window seems like it's starting to kind of open up. So maybe by year 5, they're there. I mean, I'm looking at their lineup right now. I mean, most of their talent comes on the back end, but just their top 6 alone. Kaprizov,
they get a couple more pieces. It could be there by year 3.
So far, they've got Kaprizov, Eriksson Ek, and Zuccarello on the first line, with Greenway, Ryan Hartman, and Marcus Foligno on the second line. Not the strongest top 6, but if you don't have Kaprizov in there, you're fucked.
No, and Eriksson Ek and Fiala took huge steps forward last year. Those guys are awesome.
Definitely.
So I think for the Wild, you've got your box seat attraction. It's really all you can ask for right now.
Yeah. And even like, let's say it doesn't pan out. Let's say this guy turns out to be an absolute bust, which after seeing him play, I don't think will happen, but at least it's not like the Parise and Suter deals that were 13 years long. I mean, it is 5 years, so it's manageable.
Before we move on to the next bit, can I interject something about a current NHL player? Well, I guess you could call him current, that I'm curious what you guys think he's going to do this year.
Yes.
Sure.
The real deal, James Neal. He is currently
Interesting.
signed to a professional tryout in St. Louis, and he scored, I believe
Hattie.
he scored a hattie in one of the preseason games.
Someone will take him.
You think
I
he'll
think
end up
St.
somewhere?
Yeah.
I think so. I
You
don't
think
know
St. Louis
why.
would sign him though. Like, do you think he makes that team?
I mean, if he scored a hat trick, I mean, that's got to stand out. It says, hey, I've obviously got something left in the tank. I mean, we know the guy can score. I don't know why the first team that comes to my head is New Jersey when I think of that.
I
Ooh.
could see that too, taking on some money.
That'd
Not
be
that he-
fun, honestly, if New Jersey's not fun for other Metro teams, but I actually think he's got something left in the tank.
He's a streaky guy. I'm going to give a shout out to our boy Rick Rowley. He has a great YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it, go subscribe. He actually uploaded a video dissecting James Neal's play and how he's the most frustrating fantasy hockey player to ever live. I would go check that out if you're interested in any James Neal news. But yeah, I think someone will take a chance on him. If you got a hat trick in a preseason game, I mean, that should be enough for you to make the team.
I mean, it was like a year or two ago that he was with the Oilers, that he was like at the beginning of the year, he was on pace for like 40 goals and people were losing their mind. And then, of
That's
course,
the
it
thing.
fell off the face of the earth.
He's known for having really good like September, October, Novembers, and then just falling off the way.
And then just makes Phil Kessel look consistent the rest of the way.
yeah.
Yep. I know the real deal all too well. He is he gets out of the gate hot. He never finishes hot. That's the problem.
So let's go through the teams now. Dallas, Pittsburgh,
Dallas,
Edmonton,
Pittsburgh, Edmonton,
Calgary.
Calgary.
He's on St. Louis, Vegas, Nashville.
Vegas, Nashville,
Wow.
That's
Are we missing
6.
anyone?
Did you count St. Louis or not?
St.
yet?
Louis. That's 7.
That's 7.
Is that all of them, or are we missing one?
Let's see. I'm pulling it up real quick.
Okay.
Fact check us.
I think that's all of them.
When did he
I'm
come to
pretty
the
sure.
Pens? Was that from the Stars?
he was drafted in
Yeah.
2005.
Was that
by
the
Dallas.
Goligoski trade?
It was the Matt Niskanen trade.
Okay.
So he went. Oh wait, I think we got him. all.
2011, I
He
think.
went Dallas to Pittsburgh to Nashville to Vegas to Edmonton to. Oh wait, no, from Vegas to Calgary to Edmonton, and then now PTO with Stars.
So he's
Wow.
on 7 teams, assuming he makes the Blues.
Yeah.
The LA Kings signed goalie Cal Peterson to a 3-year deal at $5 million per. I think that's a great deal. I think this guy has proven himself. The Kings
good.
I mean, you want to talk teams that are going to be good in 3 to 5 years. This team has to be at the top of your list.
He'd be a great interview guest.
Oh,
I know-
100%.
I know he's been on Chicklets too. He's a funny guy. I like him.
Yeah. The Blue Jackets signed goaltender Elvis Merzlikins to a 5-year deal at 5.4 per. I think that's another great deal as well. I think he's probably going to end up being the future of that team between the crease going down the road.
Do they still have Corpusalo?
I believe they do.
So that's still going to be their tandem, Corpusalo and Merzlikins?
I think so, but I think based on this deal, at some point they're going to let Korpisalo walk.
I'm Team Elvis. I have been since the beginning of those two, like kind of dogging it out for top dog. I think he's got a sick ass name. I think that he has impressed me with his goaltending, and he's a class act. He obviously was involved in that whole situation with the fireworks, and he had some really, powerful words after that situation too. So I'm rooting for that guy big time.
Yeah, and he just seems like the nicest guy in the world. So
He went on a
do-
streak too.
absolutely.
He was real hot when they met the Jackets in the playoffs, I believe, or when they met the Leafs in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It was key for that run. So this next bullet point, I don't even know if we should fucking mention this guy's name anymore.
Isn't this his second time with the Coyotes too?
Yeah.
So Arizona Coyotes have signed Alex Galchenyuk to a PTO, one of Harrison's favorite players. So I'll let you give your thoughts first.
Complete suitcase. I don't really know. This guy's dead, so we don't even need to talk about this.
One of Team USA's best World Junior players, in my opinion.
Not one
Would
of
you-
Team USA's best
Would you
players.
believe that this guy has now played for almost as many teams as James Neal has?
I
Yeah.
would.
Can you name the 6?
I
Mm.
think I might be able to.
Arizona.
In order.
Oh,
I
in
don't know about
order. I can't do it in order, but
Well, he's got
Arizona,
Montreal,
He started with Montreal, then he
Okay.
went to Arizona,
Okay.
Pittsburgh,
then
Pittsburgh,
to Pittsburgh.
Toronto,
Toronto. Forgot about that one.
back to Arizona now.
Back to Arizona.
Are there any
We're
others?
missing one more,
There's
aren't
two
we?
teams that you haven't said yet they played for.
Mm. I'm blanking.
Give me the division.
One of them is
They were West-
Atlantic, and one of them is Central.
He played for Minnesota, didn't he?
Yep.
Okay.
He played
That's a good
14
one.
games for them.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
He had 7 points in 14 games.
Team in the Atlantic.
He played 8 games for them.
Florida.
8 games, 1 goal, -6.
I'm stumped. I have no idea.
Is it the Sabres?
It's the Senators.
Okay. Oh, that's
Oh
right.
yeah. Wow,
So
he
it was
has played on as many teams.
Montreal, then Arizona, then Pittsburgh, then Minnesota, then Ottawa, then Toronto. Now
That's
back
right.
to Arizona. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we need to move on from this. My brain hurts.
The Winnipeg Jets have placed top prospect Sammy Niku on waivers. I think someone's going to take a chance on this kid. He was a really high draft pick, and for whatever reason, just didn't work out in Winnipeg.
I think somebody already did take him.
Did they?
I believe the Habs.
Good.
Scooped him up the other day. Let me confirm that real quick.
Yeah, I was surprised when I saw this, just because
You're right, Mac.
he was
Yeah.
up there.
Yep. The Habs just picked.
Where
him up.
was he drafted? Do you have that pulled up?
He was. I don't think he was that high up. No, I'm looking at this, but he was drafted in the 2015 draft, 7th round, 198
by
overall.
Winnipeg. Yeah.
I remember just them saying that he was going to be one of their top 4 easy money on their blue line going forward. So I was surprised by that.
Yeah, and he's never played more than 30 games in a year.
Wow.
Stay hot, Nick.
Thanks. Speaking of things that also surprised me, unrestricted free agent defenseman Sammy Vatanen is taking his talents to Switzerland. So he signed over there in the National League, and it is announced that he's going to stay there for basically the 2021-2022 season. So I that's another guy that I thought for sure someone would scoop up, or just even to have as like a 7th defenseman. You would think someone would do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he definitely could. I'm sure he probably could have played somewhere if he wanted to. I think this is probably just a personal choice that he was like, this is what I'm going to do for now. And it's 1 year, you know, you can do it for a year. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I feel like guys who go over there, they end up loving it over there. The scenery.
I feel like we're starting to see a lot more guys go over and then come back.
Yeah. I think that's becoming more common.
Dmitry Yaskin, isn't he going to play with the Yotes this season?
Yeah.
I heard something about that. That'd be
I heard that too.
Yeah. I saw pictures of him in his Kachina jersey the other day, which thank God, by the way, that's now their
the whites too. Yeah.
How awesome is that?
Helmet away. That's awesome.
That white one.
So happy.
That white one. Oh,
there are some alternates that haven't been leaked yet, by the way. I know the Penguins changed their alternate. We don't know what it is though.
Yeah. One I'm starting to warm up to is that Minnesota one for the outdoor game.
Oh, you don't need to warm up to that. That's a good one. Come on. That looks nice.
The Minnesota one that they're doing for the Winter
Stadium
Classic.
Series.
Yeah, the Stadium Series, whichever outdoor game they have. I wasn't sold on I don't like the fake artificial, like vintage looking pants and gloves. I don't love that, but I'm warming up to it.
These ones that say like Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
I think they're sick.
I'm also not a fan of like faking the retro classic hockey vibe. It's like,
I see the brown shorts and the brown.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, it's okay. You're not the Red Wings. You haven't been around for like 100 freaking years.
Right.
Like you don't have to do that.
We get it. Minnesota is a hockey city.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you.
Wow. Tough crowd. I got your back, Minnesota.
We do have one trade to get to. St. Louis sent Zach Sanford to Ottawa in exchange for Logan Brown, and that's basically the Blues getting rid of Sanford's $2 million cap hit.
That's former Capital Zach Sanford.
It is. Also scored the Stanley Cup clinching goal in that Game 7 against the Blues, if I'm not mistaken, Zach Sanford.
That is correct. One other thing, do you think that they're shedding that $2 million cap hit so they can sign the real deal?
or trade for Evgeny Kuznetsov, either one.
I saw a thing from RMNB today that was like, it appears that the Capitals' new first line is Alex Ovechkin, Evgeny Kuznetsov, and Anthony Mantha. So I guess let's see what that does.
Right.
I don't think Kuzi's going anywhere. And from what I've read, he's had a decent camp so far. It looks like, at least they're saying he's on the first line with Mantha and Ovi. So
I mean, as good as I feel like for what he's done for the franchise, just in that cup run alone, like
18 alone. Let's be real. He should have won the Conn Smythe.
I'm willing to give him a pass for last year if he can just pick up this year and have a steady year. I'm not asking him to, be a super fucking human or anything, but if he can, like, I'm going to come up with a number that I need this guy to hit, and I'm going to talk about that next episode for like points. And if he doesn't hit that level, I'm going to be pissed.
It's like if Alex Semin helped them win a Stanley Cup. It's like, okay, I can take the 10 slashing and tripping penalties a game. It's fine. I can live with that.
That's what I do with
Victor Kozlov. There's this pool of like Russian players that just are so talented, but for some reason they just like can't like have the same effect like every single night. They're so inconsistent.
Even when Malkin, who's done so much, like he takes the stupidest fucking penalties, and for as much as he's done for us, he's probably equally taken as many dumb penalties that have led to game-winning goals or series-costing things.
Exactly. And the thing with Malkin that always bothered me, and I'm a Caps fan, is that he's like, he would take the same penalties as Alex Semin, but he's like 1.5 times the size of Alex Semin. I'm like, instead of hooking the guy, just run him over.
Right. He's a big dude. Speaking of Evgeny Malkin, getting onto the injury bug, he will miss at least 2 months due to recovering from knee surgery.
How do you feel about that one?
Where's your panic index? That's what I want to gauge going into like the season. Cause we only like the Metro is only getting harder. Everyone knows that. The Caps and the Penguins are sort of on, let's be real, it's on the downswing right now. Everyone else is on the up.
The Penguins finally have a slow start like they always do, and then they can't magically come back from it because the rest of the Metro is actually just too lethal for once.
Okay, instead of answering that question, I'm going to do a 1 to 10 panic index, 10 being
like where you were last year on opening
10 being
night.
I'm looking up the 2026 first round picks to figure out when we're tanking, and 1 being like, no, we're going to
when you're intentionally tanking for the 4th time as a franchise.
I would say I'm at a 3.8. I'm at a 3.8.
Okay.
They find a way. And this is going to be a really hot take, and I've said it on like 2 episodes ago. Tristan Jarry is not as bad of a goalie as last playoff run made him out to be.
And I totally agree with you.
He's going to bounce back. The first 2 months are going to be bumpy. If we can say like 500 and kind of stay competitive, that's all I'm asking for in the first 2 months until we get Sid and Gino back. Until then, we'll see. So
it's like death, taxes, and the Penguins having a monster second half are just the 3 undying truths in this world.
March is our month. March of the Penguins. That's what
Nick, I was going to say, do you know if Instagram has a feature where you can put like a video of somebody saying one thing on one slide and then the next slide, a video of them a couple months later saying maybe possibly contradictory to the first thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like,
what makes you ask that?
Maybe in between that, we could have the narrator from SpongeBob be like 2 months later.
Exactly. Yeah, that would be ideal. Well, yeah, we can talk about that later.
Wait until our Metro Division previews next week, and then I'm going to get you guys on the spot too. So that'll be fun.
Okay.
Last injury bug, Kevin Hayes will miss 6 to 8 weeks after a successful abdominal surgery.
Ow.
Rough summer for Hazy. Got to feel for the guy. Tough for the Flyers too. So
did you see his statement about the upcoming year? He's like, I'm totally motivated and I'm going to be like playing it in my brother's honor and stuff like that. So
yeah, Philly's probably going to win the cup now. So
yeah,
it's just awesome.
It is. And like, I hate to like root for the Flyers, but like between everything that's gone on with the Hayes family and, Oscar Lindblom going through his stuff last year. And I don't know why in my head, I want Carter Hart to bounce back. And then I'm like, wait, no, you idiot. That's like, he's going to be playing against like your team.
Yeah,
why would you do that?
Yeah. I don't wish anything good for the Flyers ever. I hope Hazy has a good year. I don't hope the Flyers have a good year.
Yeah,
I agree. I will say though, if Hazy has a good year and Carter Hart bounces back and they somehow come and like win the cup or even make a deep run, they're going to make a movie about that team one day.
Oh, 100%.
For sure.
I've always said, like, if I could add one player to the Caps, like excluding like bona fide NHL superstars, it would be Kevin Hayes.
Yep. We've talked about this on the show before. He's a guy that everybody in the league should want.
I think that just about does it, fellas. You guys got anything else that you want to add? No? That's surprising.
No. Yeah.
Mac?
Caps.
Nice. It was nice watching preseason the other day. I watched
Caps
play. Joe and Craig in the booth. It hits a little different now, I will admit.
It was funny, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
It's like, oh, I just hung out with you and may have interviewed you. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll save that for another day. But just so all the listeners are aware, we are bringing back the weekly recordings. The season is pretty much in swing at this point, given the preseason. So this is getting dropped on September 29th. Here's the deal that we're going to shoot for. I think this season, what's most likely going to happen is we'll be recording later in the days on Tuesdays, releasing episodes first thing Wednesday morning. That's probably the name of the game. So we are going to have our Eastern Conference previews release on October 6th, along with our futures bets for that. And then we will have our Western Conference previews and futures picks release on October 15th. That's the plan right now. And then we'll be rolling, every Wednesday, there'll be an upload in the morning for you guys. Obviously we'll tweet out and Instagram announcements if that changes, but that's kind of the plan for the season, just based on how all of our schedules are working. We are working with, a company in particular named Sharp Rank about how we're going to be publishing our picks this year. We really want to get that engaging for you guys. So
they have a great platform, so check them out.
They do. We're meeting with them later this week to kind of discuss how we want this season to go. So be on the lookout for that. We'll educate you guys on how we're publishing everything going forward this season. It's going to be fun. We're going to make a lot of money, and I'm excited. Hockey's back.
One thing before we do hop off, we are going to be bringing back the Fantasy Hockey League this year. If you'd like to be involved, I have a feeling that there's going to be some pretty cool people involved, wink, wink. So feel free to reach out and maybe some of you guys can get some spots in the league as well.
Absolutely.
Just DM us on Insta.
You got it. All right, everybody. We appreciate you listening. We'll be back with you next week for the Eastern Conference previews. And without further ado,
class dismissed.